Everyone in Black Hollow feared the woman in the tower. They called her a witch, a butcher, a curse wearing a woman's face. People disappeared near the forest, and by morning the ground would be stained with blood and burned symbols carved into stone. She was not misunderstood. She was evil, and Elias Reed walked toward her tower anyway. The wind howled as he crossed the dead field, boots crunching over dry bones and shattered charms left behind by failed heroes. He was not a warrior, not a mage, just a human boy with dirt on his hands and stubborn hope in his chest. Lightning cracked above the crooked tower. A scream echoed from within. Elias didn't stop. Inside, the air reeked of iron and smoke. Candles floated without flame. Dark symbols pulsed along the walls like living scars. At the center of the chamber stood Seraphine, black hair loose, eyes glowing violet, her hands drenched in blood that wasn't hers. A man lay dead at her feet. She turned slowly, smiling. "So," she said calmly, "they finally started sending boys instead of soldiers." Elias swallowed hard. Fear clawed at his spine, but he didn't run. "You don't have to keep doing this," he said. Her laughter was sharp, cruel. "I already have." With a flick of her wrist, shadows surged forward, slamming him against the wall. He gasped as dark magic wrapped around his throat, lifting him off the ground. "I kill because it makes me strong," she whispered, stepping closer, "and because I enjoy watching hope die in human eyes." Elias struggled to breathe, but he looked at her, really looked, not at the blood, not at the magic, at the exhaustion buried beneath her cruelty. "You don't look like you enjoy it," he rasped. Her hand froze. For a split second, the shadows weakened. He fell to the floor, coughing. She stared at him, anger flashing across her face. "Get out," she snapped, "before I change my mind." He stood slowly. "I'll come back." Her eyes narrowed. "If you do, I'll kill you." That night, Elias returned. And the next, he brought no weapons, no spells, just food, stories, and silence when she didn't want to speak. She mocked him, threatened him. Sometimes she threw him out with bruises. He hid beneath his coat, but she never killed him. One stormy night, exhaustion finally broke her defenses. She sat by the window, rain tracing lines down the glass, magic flickering weakly around her. Elias stood behind her, unsure if this was another trap. "Why are you still here?" she asked quietly. "Because I see who you were before the blood," he replied. She laughed bitterly. "That girl is dead. Then let me meet the woman you are now." Silence stretched between them. Slowly she turned. Her magic faded. Her eyes softened just slightly. She stepped closer, close enough that he could feel the heat of her power, the danger of her nearness. "You should be afraid of me," she whispered. "I am," he said honestly, "but I still want you to stop hurting." Something inside her cracked. That night, they lay together on a cold stone floor beneath a shared blanket. Not lovers, not enemies. Just two souls breathing in the same darkness. She rested her head on his chest, listening to a human heartbeat for the first time in years. No blood, no spells, no death. When dawn came, Seraphine realized something terrifying. For the first time, she didn't want to kill, and that scared her more than any curse. Morning came quietly. No screams, no blood on stone. Seraphine woke with her head resting on Elias's chest, the steady rhythm of his heartbeat unfamiliar beneath her ear. For a moment, she thought it was a dream, another cruel illusion her magic liked to play. Then she breathed in human warmth, human scent, human presence. Her eyes snapped open. Elias was still asleep, lashes resting softly against his cheeks, one arm loose around her back as if she belonged there. The realization made her chest tighten in a way no spell ever had. She pulled away abruptly, standing, magic flaring instinctively around her fingers. The tower reacted, candles igniting, shadows stretching, as if ready to obey her next violent command. But she didn't give one. Instead, she stared at her hands. They weren't shaking with hunger for power. They were shaking with something else. Fear. Elias stirred. "You're awake," he said softly, Sitting up, he didn't reach for her, didn't trap her with words. He just watched, calm and patient, like he had all the time in the world. "You should leave," she said coldly, "before I remember who I am." He nodded. "If that's what you want." That answer unsettled her more than defiance ever could. He gathered his coat and walked to the door. Halfway there, he stopped. "I'll come back tonight," he said. "If you let me." She didn't answer. The door closed. Hours passed. The tower felt louder without him. That evening, a man wandered into the forest. A thief, armed, desperate. She felt his presence long before he reached the tower, felt the familiar pull of opportunity. Power was easiest to take from those who feared death. She appeared before him in a blur of shadow. He screamed. Magic coiled around her fingers, dark and eager. One word, one gesture, and his life would end. His terror fed her power, warm and intoxicating. She raised her hand. Then she remembered Elias's heartbeat. Steady, human, alive. Her hand faltered. "What are you waiting for?" The man sobbed. She lowered her arm. "Leave," she said sharply. He didn't wait to hear it twice. Seraphine stood alone in the forest, breath ragged, magic thrashing inside her, with nowhere to go. She should have felt weak. Instead, she felt lighter. That night, Elias returned. He knocked once, respectfully, like a guest instead of prey. When she opened the door, he saw it instantly. Something had changed. "You didn't kill today," he said. She looked away. "Don't sound proud." It felt wrong. He smiled gently. Doing the right thing often does at first. They sat together again as darkness settled. This time closer. Their knees brushed. The air between them hummed with restrained tension. Desire wrapped tightly around caution. "You know I'm not good," she said quietly. "I've done terrible things." "I know," he replied. "I'm not here to erase them." "Then why are you here?" He met her eyes. "Because you're trying." The words struck deeper than accusation ever could. That night, the romance shifted. Not rushed, not claimed, earned. She leaned into him, hesitant at first. He responded slowly, giving her space to pull away if she chose. Their lips met, soft, searching. No magic, no hunger for power. Just want. Her hands gripped his shirt like an anchor. His breath hitched, not with fear, but with feeling. For the first time in years, Seraphine kissed without tasting blood. They lay together beneath the same blanket again, bodies close, hearts louder than spells. She traced idle patterns on his chest, listening to the human rhythm she was starting to crave. "Stay," she whispered. "I will," he said. Far away, something ancient noticed. Dark magic doesn't disappear when abandoned. It waits. And redemption, when born from love, always demands a price. The magic didn't forgive her. Seraphine felt at the moment she woke, an ache beneath her skin, like something alive had turned against her. The tower was colder than usual, shadows thick and restless, whispering in a language she hadn't heard since her first kill. Elias noticed before she said anything. "You're bleeding," he said quietly. She looked down. Thin black lines crept along her veins, pulsing faintly with dark light. Every spell she had ever cast, every life she had taken, was clawing its way back to the surface. "It's fine," she lied. "Just residue." But they both knew better. Dark magic was never just power. It was a contract. That night, the dead came calling. The first voice whispered from the walls, soft, familiar. "You don't get to stop." Seraphine staggered, gripping the edge of the table. "You're not real," she hissed. Then they appeared. Shadows shaped like people. Faces she remembered. Men. Women. Innocents. Victims. Their eyes were hollow. Accusing. Elias stepped in front of her, without thinking. "Stay back." They laughed. "Human." One voice sneered. "She belongs to us." The tower shook violently. Cracks split the stone floor as dark energy surged upward, wrapping around Seraphine like chains. She screamed, not in pain, but in terror. "I didn't know how to stop," she cried. "I didn't think I could be anything else." The shadows tightened. Elias grabbed her hands. You can. You already are. The chains burned him, but he didn't let go. That was a mistake. The magic shifted. It turned on him. A voice deeper than the others filled the tower, ancient, amused. Then he will pay. A sigil carved itself into Elias's chest, glowing violently. He cried out, falling to his knees. Seraphine screamed his name, trying desperately to break the spell, but her magic resisted her now. You take from us, the voice said, and we will take from you. Her eyes filled with horror as understanding hit. Dark magic demanded balance. If she refused to kill, then someone she loved would die instead. No, she begged. Take me back. I'll do it again. I'll kill. The shadows paused. Elias looked up at her. Pain etched into his face. Don't, he said weakly. Don't become that again. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I can't lose you. You won't, he whispered. Not like this. The sigil flared brighter. His breathing became shallow. Every second drained more life from him. Seraphine made her choice. She pressed her forehead to his and whispered an ancient spell, one she had sworn never to use. Light and darkness collided violently, tearing through the tower. Her screams echoed as the chains shattered, ripping free from her soul. The shadows recoiled. The voices faded. Silence fell. Seraphine collapsed, gasping, magic gone, completely. She felt empty. Human. Elias caught her before she hit the floor, holding her tightly. You did it, he whispered. She laughed weakly through tears. I don't feel powerful. You feel alive, he said, but the victory was incomplete. The sigil on his chest remained, dimmer now but still there. The cost had been delayed, not erased. Outside, thunder rolled as if the sky itself disapproved. Seraphine pressed her palm to his chest, panic rising. It's still hurting you. Elias nodded. The magic is dying, but it wants one last thing. Her voice trembled. What? A life? He said softly. She pulled back, shaking her head. No, I won't let it take you. He cupped her face gently. Then it will take you. They stared at each other in the quiet aftermath of destruction, both understanding the truth. Redemption had never been free, and love had dragged them to the final price. The tower was too quiet. No whispers. No shadows breathing behind the walls. Just Elias's uneven breaths in the slow, terrifying fade of magic from the world. Seraphine held him tightly, her hands pressed over the sigil on his chest. It no longer burned, but it pulsed faintly like a dying star. Every pulse stole another piece of him. This is my fault, she whispered. Elias smiled weakly. You saved me. I condemned you, she said, tears falling freely now. If I hadn't killed, if I hadn't used dark magic. If you hadn't, he interrupted gently, you wouldn't be the woman I love now. Her breath caught. Love. The word still felt fragile on her tongue. She had taken lives without blinking, yet this terrified her more than any curse. The air shifted. A familiar presence returned, not violent this time, but patient. The ancient force that had fed on her darkness coiled around them like a closing circle. A life was promised, it whispered. Balance must be restored. Seraphine stood slowly, placing Elias carefully against the stone. Her legs trembled, but her mind was clear. No, she said firmly. The debt is mine. Elias grabbed her wrist. Don't. I took power that didn't belong to me, she said softly. I used death to feel strong. Let me end this the right way. I didn't love you to lose you, he whispered. She knelt in front of him, cupping his face. For once, there was no magic in her touch, only warmth, only humanity. You love me so I could become better, she said. Let that mean something. She kissed him. Slow, gentle, final, not the kiss of hunger or fear, but gratitude. As their lips parted, she stood and faced the darkness without flinching. Take me, she said, and release him. The ancient force hesitated. You are no longer bound to us. It whispered. You are empty. She smiled sadly. Then take what's left. Light flickered around her. Not dark magic, not hellfire. but something fragile and pure. Every good choice. Every night she didn't kill. Every moment she chose him over power. The sigil on Elias's chest shattered. He screamed as air rushed back into his lungs, life slamming into him all at once. Seraphine, oh! The light consumed her. When it faded, she was gone. The tower stood silent, healed. No shadows, no blood, no magic, just a human boy kneeling on cold stone, screaming the name of the woman who had saved him. Days later, Black Hollow changed. No more disappearances. No cursed forest. No dark tower. Elias buried Seraphine beneath the old tree outside the ruins, the same place she once stood deciding whether to kill or walk away. He stayed. Years passed. People came to him for stories of the witch who had once ruled the forest. He never called her a monster, never called her evil. She was learning, he would say, like all of us. Some nights, when the wind moved just right, Elias swore he could feel her presence, warm, gentle, proud. And on the anniversary of her death, as he stood beneath the tree, a soft voice brushed his ear. You did well. He smiled through tears. I loved you, he whispered. The leaves rustled. Love hadn't erased her past, but it had rewritten her ending.